empowering you to build better lives. That's what we do. So, welcome to today's episode of Empower, a podcast dedicated to the process of becoming stronger and more confident and empowering others to do the same. Today, I'm here with Gretchen Clark Zachary, and we're going to talk about that. And I'm so excited. You've been in the new skin business for 3 years. Prior to us, you were with corporate America in the recruiting area, which is a pretty cutthroat industry. So we're going to get into that. We're going to get into a little bit around personal branding, which is one of my favorite things about you and your business. So we're going to dive right into this. But Gretchen, to start, I want to know a little bit about where you came from. Tell us a little bit about your family, your upbringing.
Sure. So I grew up in Vermont, New Hampshire, around New England. Then as I graduated high school, went to college in South Carolina.
South Carolina.
Myrtle Beach, coastal Carolina.
Okay.
Don't have your
and did you
children
get
go
any
there.
studying?
No.
A
lot of, but I
I
bartended so I could make a lot of money, right?
that would have helped with studies.
Yeah. No, I am actually paid people to do my work.
Good. Entrepreneur from the beginning.
Have to be. I had my own eBay store.
Okay.
I used to go to estate sales and buy old Monopoly games and sell them on eBay for triple the price. Always been an entrepreneur. And
so what did your mom do? What did your dad do? And how'd you get from New Hampshire to
so my mom doesn't love me. She doesn't really like me, to be honest.
Okay.
But she's a paralegal, but she's not really in my life. And my dad is a firefighter, paramedic, EMT.
Oh, fantastic.
So works 80 hours a week. He's where I get my work ethic from. So
siblings?
Siblings, have a brother and a sister.
Older, younger?
Older. I'm the youngest. I'm the baby.
You're the baby.
Yes, brother in the Army.
I could tell that.
You could.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I always feel like the youngest are very confident and they have something to prove in life.
100%.
Right?
100%.
So I look at my youngest daughter, Ava. She's confident. She's watched her siblings go on and succeed and fail, and she just is out to prove that she's the best of them all.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. My sister, PhD, doctorate, went to Princeton, wrote books, all that kind of stuff. Brother in the Army, great. And then there's just me.
So you were young, you were entrepreneurial.
Yes.
Would you consider yourself, were you an athlete? Were you
I played soccer. I played ODP, played soccer in Italy.
ODP?
Olympic Development Program.
For soccer?
For soccer.
Or football?
Football.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what position did you play? Were you attack?
Center back.
You're center back.
I directed everything.
Okay. And that made you feel important.
Powerful.
Yes.
Yes. Made me feel like I had value.
Powerful. Yeah.
But I played. I didn't play in college because I was cut off financially, had to have a job to afford my schooling. Did not get a scholarship because I was not book smart whatsoever.
Yep. Did you get a scholarship for soccer?
Yes, but I didn't take it.
You didn't take it.
No, I got full rides to probably 6 schools and didn't take it because I had things that I had to pay for. That I needed to work, and you cannot go to school for soccer.
For sure.
Work.
That was me.
Yeah.
Work your way through school.
Yes.
I didn't want any debt when I finished, right?
Yeah.
So it was work nights, go to school during the day, and apparently bartending or something on the trade. Yeah.
Highly recommend.
What?
It teaches you so much about humans. It teaches you so much about communication, how to move fast, how to make money, how to upsell. It's the best. And how
to communicate,
deal.
right?
Yes, 100%.
Right? You're talking with people.
Yes. It's incredible. And being a server. Everyone should be a server and a bartender at least once in their life.
Interesting.
Or you shouldn't
I'm going to go back.
to
I'm going to start doing that.
You should.
I didn't do it when I was younger. I'll do it when I'm older.
So,
so when you're a kid, right? So you were competitive.
Yes.
Would you consider yourself and I think I know the answer to this, were you self-confident or were you self-conscious as a child?
So I was So my dad always says that I am unnecessarily confident.
Okay.
Since from a child, I would have a wagon full of rocks and I would go and sell them door to door. And I did not care. I would sell them for $25 and they were rocks.
Okay.
And
you actually sold them.
Oh, yeah.
So you could literally sell ice to an Eskimo.
100%.
You could sell rocks to a rock star.
Yes. I've heard that before.
Yeah. Okay.
Honestly.
And so you've always been that way. Do you feel like it was why, what, how? And again, going back to you were the youngest.
Yeah.
I tend to find that a lot with the youngest is they tend to be more self-confident because they have to make their way.
Yeah. I think I had someone to prove wrong in my life. A motherly aspect. I had to prove that wrong.
Okay.
The things that maybe she said to me, thought about me, I had to prove that wrong and I had to prove that to myself.
Yeah.
But I also, I'm extremely competitive.
Okay.
I love to be number one. I love to be at the top of the leaderboard.
Yeah.
And I have this burning passion inside of me that like what's the point? I say, what's the point all the time? Like, what's the point in doing anything if you're not going to try to be the very, very best at it? You might not be, but what's the point in doing anything unless you're just all in?
So I'm going to go where my mental brain's telling me don't go.
Sure.
But I'm going to go there anyways, and then we can cut it if we don't go. So when you say your mother didn't like you very much, and then you say your fuel or your motivation for doing what you do may be to have proven some of those things wrong. Can you go a little deeper into that? What do you mean by your mother didn't like you?
Well, she just, when I was 18 years old, we had a huge falling out.
Oh.
And
before going away to school.
You're 18 years old. Not proud of you. Don't like you, pretty much. And then we didn't speak.
Okay. Interesting.
I tried to rekindle the relationship a couple times. I'm not sure really what's going on with her, but like she doesn't have a relationship with her whole entire family. Doesn't know if her parents are dead or alive, that whole thing. And so it just became and that's very right. So I lived in New Hampshire, and I actually spoke about this with my team earlier, but I just went to when that happened, my instinct said the only logical thing is to run. Just run.
Get out.
Just run away. So I went to South Carolina. I did not know one single soul. And I went to college there. And when you're 18 years old and you're maybe not just a woman, but and then you have that, and you see all these people with their relationships with their mom. That changes you.
It
and
hurts.
there's something, I know I've had enough therapy to be like, there's something inside of me that will always try to somehow hear those words, I'm proud of you, from my mom. And I just continue to work. Like I never celebrate. Like when I hit circle of excellence, when I hit this at this, when I do this, I don't celebrate them because it's not been proven to be good enough to me.
Not enough. That feeling not enough. So that drives you, that fuels you.
It's not good
to do that. When you say that, so I remember at 17 years old, so my mother and I were close. My father and I had issues. And I remember I was playing with my buddies, like playing. I mean, we came back from football practice and we were joking around. My dad was always worked under the car. And he's doing this, and he overheard us, and he pulls his head out and he said, I hated guys like you in high school. And then went back and started working. And I was like, I was 17.
Oh, God.
And I was like, whoa. And it really impacted me. And I remember I didn't talk to him about it, but I told my mom, I said, we're done. Like, we don't have a relationship. And it took me until 21, and I went away and did a church mission, right? Which, by the way, selling church is hard. And then I came back, and my dad made a comment. My mother had told him that, and it broke his heart, right? He didn't even realize. He didn't realize what he said at the time when something triggered him. This sounds like it was a deeper, longer relationship with your mother, and it hasn't yet been repairable.
It hasn't been repairable, and it's hard because I feel like I am the child, but growing up as an adult, you realize that your parents are also just adults, and they're just trying to figure it out. Right. They make mistakes, and I can try to forgive, and it's never worked out. There's something with us that doesn't
the chemistry
work. She's made comments like of almost jealousy. And you can't be jealous towards your child, and there's something that just hasn't clicked, and there's been so much hurt, and as I've grown up and I've started to start my own family and all of that, I've really learned to protect my energy, and I've tried and it just hasn't worked.
For sure.
So
if you think so, and again, I've said this a few times, but the Dalai Lama says relationships never die; they only evolve. Like no matter what happens, if you never even speak to her again, you will always have. She is your mother, and that relationship. I love that you have periodically reached out, but you've also found a safe space to not continue to hurt yourself,
of course,
through that process. But let's kind of move that into how has that fueled, because I get the sense when we're talking about empowerment, and the first two things you talk about is, listen, I'm competitive, and I'm this, and I have the sense of not enough, never enough, and it's going to keep driving me. How have you taken that negative energy, as you mentioned, and turned it into positive fuel? Like, what's your process for doing that?
Sure. So when I think of empowerment, I almost think of like granting confidence or like pushing confidence onto someone. And so I think that there is a big piece of me, right? Like, just to be totally transparent, there's a time in my life when I was like, I never want to be a mother because I don't know what that looks like. I don't think I'll be good at it. And what if I screw up my kid? Right? Like I was very scared of that. And then I realized that I am aware of what not to do almost, that I have such a power to be, and I feel like I have such a huge nurturing piece of me. And I think it has become beautiful for my life that I can tell people and I can empower them and I can push them and I can have grit and I can get through all these things. But I also like wouldn't hurt a fly. And I also can show grace and I also can forgive and I also can be gentle with people. And I feel like there's so many things in my life that have like taught me how to communicate with people and learn human connection and what, I don't know. I don't really know if that makes sense, but I feel like I take that energy and I could go, like you have a choice, right? I could go down the path of just being like so hard and so negative. And that doesn't work. I know what it takes to be successful. You have to, you can't just go and just lean into the negative emotion. I can't wake up and do that every day.
When I see you with your team, and I just watch you either on site or on social media, you're highly encouraging. You're highly like, nurturing, I guess is the word, but you do it in a way that's powerful. Like that's one of the things I like about your personal mission, your podcast, what you promote is this, in my view, no victimization, like we're going to kill it and all of that. And yet you do have that ability to nurture. And so to me, and on the parenting side, I look at it and I'm like, to me, I've kind of just learned like parents show up, right? Parents are there. And as long as that's all, if we love our kids and we're there for our kids, we never turn that back on. I never, like that's, you've done 90% of the parenting work in my view, right? Well, and then the other side is don't let them play with knives and fire and stuff like that, right?
When I think about that, like with my team, when I'm encouraging them and I'm praising them and I'm boosting them up, it's on the right things. It's almost like, I guess not parenting, but it's like teaching the right behaviors. Like I want them to feel like they are incredible because of these incredible things that they're doing or they possess, not what they do, if that makes sense. Because,
how do you deal? So I get that. How do you deal when you're helping other people in your team, et cetera? How do you deal with, and there's a whole bunch of questions I'd love to go back to on the past because I really wanted to know how you got into building your own brand, but I'm going to go this way instead. How do you deal with people in the team or in your team or people in your life who maybe don't come at it with your kind of tenacity? And I don't want to say victim because that's a harsher word, but just that don't quite have that self-confidence. They come from a place of self-consciousness and they don't have that innate build. How do you deal with that with them? Or do you not? Do you just say, listen, I play with winners?
I was going to say, the beauty of this business and really the life that I've built for myself is I get to choose that. I choose who I let into my life and who's in my circle and who gets access to my energy. And I'm a very, very big person on boundaries. And people know that. And you know the definition of tact?
No, because I have none.
Right.
But like, that's fine.
I think you could.
Tact?
Tact.
Well, define it. And
well, the definition, I don't know if this is the exact definition, but it's that the ability to tell someone to go to hell in such a way that they look forward to the trip.
Oh, yeah. I have no tact.
You don't?
No, I don't think
so. That surprises me.
Anyway,
so it's not necessarily that, but I'm
too nice.
Oh.
Right? I'm an enabler.
I feel like I am nice and I am kind and I'm gentle, but I also like, you're not going to mess with me.
Okay.
And I feel like people feel that and they feel it's almost like I ask for that respect because I'm being kind and I'm being nice and gentle, but also I have a legacy to build. I have a life to build. I have things to do and I'm very, very protective of my energy that if someone is fit, I'll chat with them. I'll chat through them. Tell me why. And I let them speak. And then I think that a skill that I have is I can kind of turn that back on them and be like, this doesn't make sense to almost like tell yourself why.
Okay.
But I think I'm very, very lucky that I can surround myself with people who are not like that.
Well, and as you're saying that's really a conscious choice.
Sure.
Right. You choose who you surround yourself with. And we're the product of our 5 closest friends. Like you choose those people and that's how you do it. Okay. So I want to go a little bit more into personal branding because you went to You went to South Carolina, not USC.
Coastal Carolina.
Coastal Carolina.
Which is not the University of South Carolina. They're different.
You went to Coastal Carolina. You waited tables and you bartended.
Yep.
When did you, and then you went into the corporate side. I want to know, like, when did you get into the whole personal branding?
Sure.
Because you do a great job of that. And
Thanks.
You've extended that beyond just yourself into to iconically meaning something. Take me down that journey. Like, when did you first get into personal branding?
Sure. So I had a degree in marketing. So I feel like I did learn a little bit at school.
Me too.
Thanks. Nice. And I studied abroad in Australia. I was lucky enough to do that. Came back to the United States, had $13 in my bank account, and then just got denied from every single sales job. Got into sales, staffing and recruiting. Got promoted to
which is a dog-eat-dog world.
It is.
Like,
and it's all men. It's men and like, I won't go there, but it's all a bunch of men. And anyway, so then I was up against a bunch of men to get promoted to open our Atlanta office for the company. Did that, moved to Atlanta. And then I just got really freaking burnt out. And I was like, there is no way. And I was really close with my CEO. And I was like, why are you sitting on a yacht? And I'm here working 80 hours a week, talking to all these.
And you literally probably asked him that question.
And I literally said that to him. And that, you know what's crazy is he has looked at, he like kind of pushed me to quit corporate America because he looked at New Skin's comp plan. Anyway, but yeah, so in 2020 during the pandemic, I was single, I was living alone and just with my 2 dogs.
And how many followers did you have on Instagram?
900.
900 followers on Instagram.
Yes.
In 2020.
In 2020.
Sitting at home in your sweats with 2 dogs.
Drinking margaritas.
By yourself.
Yep.
Okay.
And I was on the internet.
That's fascinating. I had no idea.
Yeah. A lot of people, they see me where I am now and they have no idea the background, which is fine. How would they? But so I was sitting around and I was just like drinking margaritas and just talking to the wall. And I would be on social media and I would look at people's brands and I would look at people's profiles. I'd be like, why are women on there being like, oh my God, I'm so sorry for how I look right now. And they look like supermodels, or they're like, so sorry for my house. It's so dirty and it's clean as ever. And I'm like, why are women, it's like women want to apologize for being themselves or just apologize
almost by
in
nature.
general. Yes. And it's like, they feel guilty. And it was bizarre to me. So I found a gap in the marketplace that the gap was that there's not like a real, authentic, raw, kind of like ugly, I always say ugly, person on the internet, just like sharing their actual thoughts. Like I have a really bad sailor's mouth, so I cuss all the time on my Instagram. And people, I think, not clearly, but like they liked that. They really felt connected to that.
An authentic.
Yes. And I to be totally transparent, if I think about it, like I was sitting around kind of lonely during the pandemic. Like I had just moved.
You should have called. Like
I know.
Yeah, we were all lonely at that point, right?
But I had just moved to a new city because I was promoted to
still in South Carolina.
To Atlanta.
Oh, Atlanta.
I opened up the Atlanta branch, got it. And so when I moved,
so you got the job. I mean, that's an important part. You got the job over everyone else,
over all the other.
Moved to Atlanta and then lockdown. Okay.
Yes, and so when I was in Atlanta, my only people that I knew were my employees. Was my sales team of employees, and I'm not going to hang out with them.
Want to hang out?
I don't want to hang out with you.
Want to hang out? I do. Jeff and Kathy, we hang out all the time.
True.
We do.
He's like, I haven't been invited.
I'm breaking. What's that rule? You don't talk to people off camera. The fourth wall.
The fourth wall.
I broke it. Anyways, sorry.
There's other people here. Just
that's right. It's creepy, right?
It's creepy.
Sorry, so you're by yourself,
so
you're
anyway,
lonely, you got 900 followers.
And I'm just like, I want someone to talk to. So then I would get on my stories on Instagram and I would just start sharing my literal what was in my brain. This is the margarita that I'm having. It was the pandemic. No one was leaving. These are the sweatpants that I'm wearing. Oh, like I'm going to try this new puzzle. And then I just started to share what was in between my 2 ears, which is kind of dangerous to think about.
For sure. It's vulnerable. It's highly vulnerable.
And I think that it was a shock factor for people. And they'd never seen it on the internet. I'm not going to say that, but they were used to seeing someone who's very put together, makeup, hair, perfectly said, beautiful house. Like I lived in a townhome. It was beautiful, but it wasn't, you know what I mean? And it kind of shocked them. And I truly believe in any sort of sales or anything that you need a shock factor. And I think it surprised people and they felt very warm and fuzzy with me, which is what I wanted. And then I built a community because I think you cannot have a brand without a community. I wanted to make people feel a certain way.
Mm-hmm,
I didn't want to sell them something.
Yeah.
I wanted to make them feel a certain way.
Yeah.
And I knew that if they felt a certain way,
yeah.
but yeah, maybe one day I could sell them something.
So when did you, or what was the event that caused you to say, okay, now I've actually started to build a follower group that's more than 900.
Sure.
When did you decide to monetize that? Or was it really a conscious, I mean, it wasn't a conscious decision, but at one point you probably thought, hey, if I sold X or Y or Z or promoted X or Y or Z, maybe there's a way I could do this more full time, or was that never really the objective
So
at
it
all?
was never the objective. Okay. It was almost like a hobby that I wanted to start that. And then Nu Skin kind of came in a couple months later, and it was a perfect like marriage of that. And then
how many people at that point were following you by the time Nu Skin came into the picture?
1,100.
Okay.
Maybe 1,000, something like that. Like it was maybe a month and a half later.
Okay. Oh, so pretty quick.
It was very quick. Okay. Yeah. I started Nu Skin in May of 2020. Got it. So it was quite fast. And then in 4.5 months, I hit Blue Diamond in this company and quit corporate America.
Yeah.
And I think that I saw with Nu Skin, with affiliate marketing, with Like to Know It, all these other things.
You were a marketer, right? So you saw the pieces coming together.
Well, I not again, but I started on social media and just started blabbering. And then people would ask, hey, where's your shirt from? Oh. Hey, what is that skincare that you're using? What is that mascara? What are you using? Because they can ask anyone on the internet, but people buy from who they like, know, and trust. And I built that very quickly with them. And then I had no idea that was going to happen. Yeah. And I had no idea people would start asking me for things. And then I was like, oh my gosh, I can make money off of this. That was never the goal.
Okay.
But it happened very fast, and it kind of snowballed, and then it blew up.
Yeah. And all of a sudden, so that's probably one of the fastest, I'll call it success stories. Your life's still going on. And it's just a journey, but accomplishing that so quickly. I think is unbelievable. I think the building your personal brand, if you had to hone that in onto the top 5 marketing principles or the top 3, what would those be for you? Like what is, when you talk to your team now, like what are the 3 things? I could probably pull a couple of things out that you talked about, authenticity of those things, but what is the recipe in your mind?
I don't know if I have an exact recipe, because I always say that like you can give someone the same recipe and it's always going to taste different, which is good about that. Yeah. But I think when I think of a brand on social media, it's 2024 and customers and people in general see through everything. Yeah. They can see past any sort of crap. That the authenticity is honestly the real one. But I was talking about this actually earlier today, is that I remember someone saying to me, you have so much excitement and passion about the littlest things. Because if you're going to do this on social media and build a brand, well, everyone kind of lives an average life. The majority of people live average lives. How can you make that exciting? How can you make that? But like I would talk about a puzzle and I was obsessed with the puzzle so that people were like, oh my gosh, I think I need this puzzle. And it was a puzzle. I wasn't just like, hey guys, this is what, like I was doing literally nothing. I lived alone and did nothing for 3 months. Like Atlanta wouldn't let us do anything. And I grew faster almost there than I would now. Because now, sure, I can go and I can do this and maybe things aren't as relatable, but so the top 3 things, if you're building a brand, authenticity, 100%. I think that you have to have like charisma and you have to be captivating. You have to be excited about what you're doing, because the average person's everyday life is all this. They're all the same.
Totally. That I'm sitting there last night. So on this point, right? I literally last night, I'm driving back. I was at the office till about 9. I'm driving home. I get home. I'm like, okay, I'll make dinner, right? And I sit down. I pulled out my Aurelius book because I'm going through meditations again, trying to reread this and find wisdom that I desperately need. And I'm like, this is the most unexciting life ever, right? And the thought crossed my mind of like, Ryan, it's your life. You've got to make it exciting. Like if I'm looking at it and I'm not passionate about making dinner, about just living life, if I can't find that passion, and that's what you're saying in personal brand building, 100%. You got like nobody is attracted to Eeyore, right? If I'm sitting there going, man, my life's terrible, right? It's just tough. So okay, so we're gonna wrap up because I would like to go deeper, but we don't have a lot of time.
Yeah.
I do want to go to, so you're a mom expecting,
yes.
which is awesome.
Yes.
You're just finishing your first trimester.
Mm-hmm.
We won't go into the details of that as much as I'm curious of whether you get motion sickness or whatever, but that's fine. But you're still very young, and you're still very young, relatively speaking. Compared to me, you're relatively young.
Sure.
But you have this amazing life ahead of you. So I want to ask you, what is your passion and what fuels you?
Sure.
What's your vision for your life moving forward?
Sure.
What do you want to be?
Sure. So it has...
Besides a great mother.
Thank you.
I caught that already.
It's totally changed. Mm-hmm. So when I came into 2024, I'm big on like word of the year. Mm-hmm. My word of the year is legacy. Okay. Because I think when you're expecting a child, you're expecting to grow a family, everything changes. So like I've always just been working to prove someone wrong or to make someone proud or to win or to be that. Yeah. But now it's totally
not about you.
Changed. It's not about me.
Yeah.
And it's so much bigger than that. And I actually said it this morning, but like my children will never know like a mom who ever gave up on them. Yeah. They'll never know a mom who gave up on herself. They'll never know a mom who wasn't the most loving and understanding, maybe strict at some time, but like, so everything that I do now has such a greater purpose that it like has amplified it by 50, because now I don't just want to do this so that I can go on a cool vacation with my husband and have my dogs have a cool life and have a nice backyard. It's like, I never want, so it's kind of crazy because I go back and forth with this, but I never want my kids to feel like I was financially cut off when I was in my teens. Yeah. Like I never want my children to feel like that. Yeah. Do I think that it made me who I
that's
am?
The tough part.
Yeah. But I'm like, how do you
made you who you are?
How do you do that? Because, but then I think that this is deep, but not really. But like sometimes I go to bed at night and I like cry myself to sleep thinking about how I was treated or what someone said. I still think about that at my age, but I'm like grateful for it. That because it fueled me to do these things. But I never, ever would dream of making my child feel like that just because it made them feel. I would rather them like live in my basement. Yeah. And
that makes sense.
Difficult.
And I struggle with that as well. Is it's what I decided as a father is I will like, and I've been tested with my kids, right? Yeah. They start to do really stupid things. Yeah. Like the older they get.
Sure.
Which is the same thing. I did the same thing, right? But the parent who doubles down and shows them I'm not going anywhere, in some ways, in my hope, that gives them the courage to do more. And so far I see that in my own kids. Yeah. But I do question, like, where's the toughness or the grit that happens when your mom says, I never want to see you again. Yeah. Because that fuel does drive. And so I don't know how we bridge that. But I think when you're talking about this greater purpose now and this legacy, I think the next evolution beyond that, and I think our lives, in my mind, our lives evolve by decades almost. Sure. There's that next round as well of then helping others to find that and realize that same empowerment journey that you've always been on that. It seems like you left home, you decided it's up to you. Yeah. You're not getting a free ride. Yeah. You did that when you, and your team's filled with people. We just spoke with them, right? Yeah. That you see it in their eyes that they're here, but I don't think they yet realize that power that you have. Yeah. And some people are put on the planet to do that. Some people are put on the planet to then help others to do that. Yeah. And clearly with your age, you're going to be able to do that for a lot more people in your lifetime. Yeah. And so that's a beautiful journey, right? Yeah. That'd be awesome. Well, listen, thanks for being on here. I would love to go another hour. We'll do another podcast. We'll check back in once baby X is born. Do you know the gender yet?
No.
And I don't know. When do we even find out?
We're not finding out until birth.
When do we find out? Did you see, like how I put that in? Yeah, so when are we going to find out?
We're not finding out.
When are we going to the doctor's appointment? Right. So you're not finding out at all? No. There's no reveal. There's no blue, pink, purple. No. Like, okay.
Even if it was a boy or a girl, I don't really like pink or blue, so I don't like
you that. Don't, yeah, just
give me like gray.
Okay. All fine. Neutral. Well, we'll check back in with you when you have that. But thanks for being on. Thank you. Thanks for sharing your story. And thanks for just empowering people. It's awesome.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yay.
Gretchen Clark.
Bye-bye.